Hello, distinguished participants and colleagues in this Congress. I'm Carolina Gonzalez from the University of Alicante, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this symposium entitled Observatory SOS-Attendance Findings and Challenges to Combat School Absenteeism. In this symposium, 5 oral presentations will be presented within the framework of an Erasmus Plus project, which is the Observatory SOS-Attendance. In this symposium, colleagues from Turkey, Italy, and Spain work together to show you the first findings of our research. If you're interested in knowing more about our project, you can visit our webpage or contact us in any of our email addresses. During this symposium, we will explore the relationship between school absenteeism and other variables, like, for example, school anxiety, school climate, perfectionism, mindfulness, etc. I encourage you to participate in this symposium and comment, and that's all. Thank you very much.
Dear participants, my name is Maria Pérez Marco, and it is a pleasure to present the communication of the symposium about the Observatory SOS-Attendance entitled Comparing the Level of School Refusal Based on Fear of Evaluation and Social Aversion Depending on School Anxiety, carried out at the University of Alicante together with the authors Andrea Pusterrico, Virginia Narcisa Ortega Sandoval, and Carolina Gonzalez. Firstly, we must start with the definition of the concept of school refusal behavior, which is understood as those persistent refusal or difficulties of pupils to attend or remain in school. This concept was also developed by the authors Kearney and Silverman in 1990. Thanks to the design of the functional model of school refusal behavior, we established 4 explanatory conditions for the maintenance of this behavior. The first factor refers to the avoidance of stimuli that generate negative affectivity. Second factor refers to the desire to escape from aversive and evaluative situations generated at school. Third factor is based on the search for attention from significant persons, and the last factor is based on the search of tangible reinforcements outside the school. Moreover, this is widespread concern about such behavior because of its relationship with internalizing and externalizing behavior problems and disorders, such as anxiety disorders, disruptive behavior disorders, as well as other consequences related to academic, physical, family, social, and emotional problems. For that reason, school refusal behavior can be seen as an anxiety-based problem, especially for the relationship to the first factors of the functional model. In the other hand, school anxiety is a set of cognitive, psychological, and behavioral responses that people make to school situations that are perceived as threatening, dangerous, or ambiguous. Among the school situations that favor high levels of anxiety in young people are situations related to academic and social evaluation, school failure and punishment, interactions with other people, and aggression or victimization. Most of the scientific literature examining the relationship with school refusal, behavior, and anxiety disorders suggests that anxiety disorders show comorbidity with school attendance problems, a relationship between school anxiety and school refusal behavior in children, and specifically Gonzalez and colleagues in 2018 found statistically significant differences between high and low scores on SRAT scale and school anxiety factors among the child population. For that reason, the aim of the research is to find out the differences in school anxiety as a function of high or low scores on the second factor of the SRAT scale. Therefore, it is expected that the students with high scores on second factor of the SRAS present significantly higher scores compared to their peers with low scores in all dimensions of school anxiety, cognitive, psychological, and behavioral anxiety, and in the total score of the scale. As far as the method is concerned, 1786 students aged between 15 and 18 participate in the survey, selected by means of randomized cluster sampling. For its implementation, an informative meeting was held with the management team of each educational center, after which written informed consent was requested in advance from each legal representative of each participant, as well as guaranteeing the anonymity and voluntariness of the test. In addition, 60 minutes were taken to complete the test. Then the School Refusal Assessment Scale, revised by Kearney in 2002, was used, but the Spanish version of 18 items instead of 24 of the original one, by Gonzalez and colleagues in 2018, which is a 7-point Likert scale in addition to the Inventory of School Anxiety by García Fernández and colleagues in 2011. Finally, for data analysis of variance, spot-doc text, and the index coin, as well as the SPSS 18 programs were used. Regarding the results, Table 1 shows the statistically significant differences in school anxiety in students with high and low scores on factor 2 of the RAS, on the need to escape from socially aversive and evaluative situations. Students with high levels of school refusal levels for the variables, with the magnitude of these differences being small, moderate, and large. In terms of conclusion, regarding hypothesis 1, it was confirmed that there are statistically significant differences between adolescents with high and low scores on second factor of the RAS in terms of the three types of school anxiety: cognitive, psychological, and behavioral anxiety, as well as on the total score of the scale. Thus, adolescents with high scores on school refusal behavior will differ markedly from those with low scores in terms of the development of school anxiety. Perhaps this is because students with high levels of such direction saw higher levels of maladaptive psychological traits, such as neuroticism, psychoticism, or internalizing factors, for instance, somatization, phobias, obsessions, social anxiety, fear, and more, which lead them to want to escape from social situations where they feel uncomfortable or evaluated. Or it may also be due to the fact that they are a more introverted learner profile and thus avoid social situations in which they are evaluated. In this line, it may be that one of the causes of the development of school anxiety of the part of the students who reject school is related to the fact of being perfectionist, causing perfectionist students to develop the school rejection behavior in order to avoid the frustration of not reaching their own academic expectations, or alternatively, because they irrationally believe that they will not meet the demands of the teachers or peers. In short, the present study is a novel contribution to the field of educational psychology, given that it has made it possible to clarify the existing differences between adolescents with high and low scores on second factor of the RAS in terms of school anxiety. In addition, this data encourage reflection on whether the methodologies used by teachers increase school anxiety and therefore contribute to development of school refusal behavior. However, there are a number of limitations that should be mentioned. Firstly, the data were collected through self-reporting, so there may be a social desirability bias. Secondly, it's important to extrapolate the result with caution to other age groups and cultural contexts, as the characteristic of the sample may condition the results. Therefore, future research could replicate this study in other countries in order to make comparisons and determine whether cultural and age discrepancies affect the relationship between school refusal behavior and school anxiety. Finally, these are the references of the study cited in the presentation. And this is all. In case you have any doubts or suggestions in relation to this research, please let us know through my email or from the Congress platform. Thank you very much for the attention and the interest.
Dear Congress participants, I am pleased to present the communication entitled Logistic Regression Analysis of School Anxiety as a Predictor of School Refusal, belonging to the Symposium Observatory SOS-Attendance, Findings and Challenges to Combat School Absenteeism. This communication has been carried out by Miriam Martín Galán, Virginia Narcisa Ortega Sandoval, José Daniel Álvarez Teruel, and by me, Mariola Jiménez Miralles. School refusal behavior includes school phobia, separation anxiety, and conduct issues marked by the reluctance to attend school and emotional distress. Research identifies SRB profiles based on motives: avoiding negative stimuli, escaping social situation, seeking attention, and pursuing rewards outside school. The first two are driven by negative reinforcement, the latter two by positive reinforcement. High scores in the first factor linked to generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, the second to GAD and social anxiety, the third to separation anxiety and oppositional defiant disorder, and the fourth to oppositional defiant disorder. School refusal behavior is tied to mental health issues like separation anxiety, GAD, ODD, depression, and school-related events. Anxiety is common in adolescents, often coexistent with SRB. However, more consistent and longitudinal research is needed. Anxiety and depression rates are rising among youth. Around 5 to 10% of young people annually meet criteria for an anxiety disorder. Anxiety disorders proceed from childhood into adolescence, prompting policies for mental disorder prevention. Students with school anxiety, fear, judgment, and criticism experience distress in various school situations. High anxiety links to the first three SRB factors. Untreated anxiety can lead to dropout, lower academic achievement, bullying, and reduced social connections. In summary, school anxiety symptoms are closely linked to school refusal behavior. This communication pretends analyzing the logistic regression of school anxiety as a predictor of high scores on school refusal. The research included 1,786 participants. The study used instruments such as the School Refusal Assessment Scale Revised for Children and the Inventory of School Anxiety to assess school refusal and anxiety levels. Preliminary interviews with school management were conducted, followed by obtaining written consent from participants' legal representatives. The odds ratio statistic was utilized to interpret the results, with the program SPSS28 software used for statistical analysis. The odds ratio values were greater than 1 for the following variables. Factor 1, first factor, EIS, indicating that the probability of high school refusal based on the second factor increases by 1.01 times for each point increase in this variable score. Psychophysiological, indicating that the probability of high school refusal based on the first factor increases by 1.01 times for each point increase in this variable score. Behavioral, indicating that the probability of high school refusal based on the first factor increases by 1.03 times for each point increase in this variable score. The odds ratio value shows that for the first factor EIS, psychophysiological, and behavioral, the likelihood of high school refusal increase with each point increase in the respective scores, 1.01, 1.01, and 1.03 times greater respectively. Conversely, for the second factor EIS and PIS, the probability of high school refusal decreased with each point increase in their scores, 0.98, 0.94 times lower, respectively. The odds ratio values were greater than 1 for the variables, the fourth factor EIS, indicating that the likelihood of presenting high school refusal based on the third factor increased by 1.01 times for each point increase in these variable scores, and behavioral, indicating that the likelihood of presenting high school refusal based on the third factor increased by 1.02 for each point increase in this variable score. The odds ratio values were greater than 1 for the second variable of the EIS, indicating that the probability of presenting high school refusal based on the fourth factor increased by 1.01 times for each point increase in these variable scores. Conversely, odds ratios values lower than 1 were obtained for the first variable of the EIS, suggesting that the probability of presenting high school refusal for the fourth factor decreased 0.99 times for each point increase in these variable scores. This study aimed to analyze how school and society predicts high scores on school refusal through logistic regression analysis. Our findings indicate that higher scores on social evaluation anxiety, fourth factor of EIS, behavioral anxiety, and the total school anxiety questionnaire correlate with increased likelihood of high scores in school refusal. Conversely, elevated scores on social evaluation anxiety, second factor of EIS, and anxiety regarding failure and disciplinary sanctions, third factor of EIS, are linked to reduced probability of high scores on this factor. These results highlight the link between avoiding negative school-related emotions and anxiety across different school settings, emphasizing the importance of addressing both school refusal and anxiety in education. This connection may stem from individuals avoiding situations associated with fear of failure, punishment, aggression, and evaluation, potentially intensifying anxiety and contributing to school refusal. Future studies should explore the relationship between school refusal and school anxiety, moving beyond a solely pathological perspective to understand their interplay more comprehensively. Thank you very much for your interest, and we are at your disposal to answer any questions you may have.
Dear participants, my name is Miriam Martin-Galan, and it is a pleasure to present a communication of the symposium about Observatory SOS-Attendance entitled School Anxiety and School Refusal Due to Avoidance of Negative Situations in Adolescents, carried out at the University of Alicante together with the authors Mariola Jiménez Miralles, Virginia Narcisa Ortega Sandoval, and José Daniel Álvarez Teruel. Anxiety, an internalizing disorder that manifests itself to a great extent during childhood and adolescence, can be understood as a construct in which cognitive, psychological, affective, and behavioral responses to emotional situations are reflected, generally negative. One of the most common emotional disorders that affects all ages in school is school anxiety, reaching rate of between 15 and 30% during childhood and adolescence. Previous research highlights three interrelated aspects: school remains, distant behavior towards school, and feelings of inadequacy with respect to the academic environment. This could give rise to school attendance problems. Understanding this stem as the set of situations that make it difficult both to participate and to remain in school, due to the various factors that could influence this behavior, determines characterized by its heterogeneity and complexity. From the functional model, four causes are proposed that cause justify this behavior. First one, avoid negative affectivity. Second one, it is about avoid evaluative and aversive situations. Third, draw the attention of close people. And fourth, obtain tangible reinforcement about outside of school. Attending school as well as obtaining positive results in it have been considered basic competencies and skills for the for development adolescents. Adolescence is time marked by socioeconomic, psychological, and political change that could influence both the physical and mental health of the person and will depend, in turn, on different factors related to this population. Scientific literature in recent time has focused pointed out maladjustment in adolescents as the main cause of school dropout. However, considering that mental health and adolescents are widely studied variable, it is expected to be necessary to consider the result proposed by current research when supporting the relationship between school rejection and internalizing behavior problems such as anxiety. Keeping the above in mind, the objective of the present study will therefore be to know the different school anxiety based on the higher low scores in a school rejection based on the first factor of the RAS-R, stating the following hypothesis. The hypothesis 1. Students with high school rejection have significantly higher score on the school anxiety variable than their peers with low school rejection. About the method, the sample was made up of a total of 1,786 adolescent students between 15 and 18 years old. After contacting the educational institutions and obtaining written informed consent from the students' relatives, the different questionnaires were administered in a session of approximately 45 minutes. At least one researcher was present along with the classroom tutor in all sessions. About the instrument, the school refusal assessment scale revised for children was used with the objective of evaluating school refusal behavior in the participating adolescents. This RAS-R is a self-report instrument with a 7-point scale based on the functional model, which aims to explain based on 4 factors the causes of negative behaviors to attend school. These factors have been mentioned above. On the other hand, the school anxiety inventory, the IAES, was used. It is a tool that evaluates the anxiety that different school situations can cause in students between 12 and 18 years old. It is a self-report instrument composed of 23 items on a 5-point scale. It is made up of 4 situational factors. The first one is about anxiety about failure and school punishment. The second, social evaluation anxiety. Third, anxiety in the face of aggression. And fourth, anxiety before school evaluations. Finally, for data analysis of variance post hoc tests and Cohen's D index 1988, as well as SPSS 24 programs were used. Figure 1 reflects the means and statistically significant differences of core anxiety in a student with higher low scores in factor 1 of this rules are. The result shows that students with high level of school rejection obtain higher scores than their peers with low level school rejection for the different variables that were studied. In terms of conclusion regarding hypothesis 1, it was confirmed that there are some statistically significant difference between adolescents with high and low scores on a factor 1 of the scores are in terms of the 3 types of school anxiety studied: cognitive anxiety, psychological anxiety, and behavioral anxiety, as well as on the total score of the IAES. Thus, adolescents with higher scores on school refusal behavior will differ markedly from those with lower scores in terms of the development of school anxiety. Despite the contributions made by this work, a series of limitations should be highlighted. Firstly, this research has focused on analyzing the relationship between both variables from a functional perspective, based on the model proposed by Kearney and Silverman in 1993. So, it is expected that the subsequent works can use different methodologies and strategies that evaluate other causes that justify the appearance of minor tendencies of school refusal behavior, such as the relationship with a teacher, health aspect of the school climate. On the other hand, the analysis was carried out with a sample Ecuadorian students between 15 and 18 years old. So it is not possible to generalize the result to the other cultures and state of life. Thus, future studies could analyze this problem from an early age with the aim of contributing to the reduction of school refusal during adolescence. Furthermore, the instrument have been completed only by the students, so they could be used in photo studies, multi-source and multi-method evaluations tools. In conclusions, and despite the limitations found, the present work offers a representative image regarding the relationship between school entity and school reaction, endorsing the importance that the problem acquires. In this way, the result obtained could be useful when developing prevention and action methods. The reference used during this presentation will be written below. I can only thank you for your attention. In case you have any doubt or suggestion in relation to this research, please let us know through my mail or from the Congress platform. Thank you very much for your attention and interest.
Hello, distinguished colleagues and esteemed participants. I am Imrullah I, and I am honored to stand before you today to present the findings of our study conducted at Atatürk University with my esteemed colleagues Ismail Seçer, Fatma Nur Çimen, Sümeyye Ulaş, Caner Sunay, and Eda Tatlı, as we present our findings at this esteemed conference. Our study, titled A Network Approach to School Refusal, offers valuable insights within Observatory SOS-Attendance, findings and challenges to combat school absenteeism. Well, at first, I guess we should define what school absenteeism is or school refusal is. It is defined as having difficulty in going to school or absenteeism due to a reluctance to go to school, and it is conceptualized primarily as an emotionally driven issue. Various factors contribute to the emotional problems leading students to school refusal behaviors, and studies have reported that these factors arise in diverse areas, including family, individual, and school-based domains. Since most studies have identified clinical or family-based approaches, it has been interpreted that the information obtained about the role of school factors remains limited still. However, it is reported that school-based factors should always be considered in a case of a youth absenteeism. Therefore, it is suggested that in understanding school refusal, school factors should also be evaluated, and the connections between these factors should be recognized, and a more comprehensive perspective on school refusal should be provided. So, in our study, we used network analysis to examine the connections between perceived autonomy in living environments, mindfulness, perfectionism, school climate, social and adaptive functions, and school refusal. Network analysis provides a distinct advantage by predicting complex relationship models and revealing the structure and core characteristics of the symptoms that form the network. Our purpose of using network analysis in our study is to investigate the interactions that emerge among these factors in understanding students' school refusal behaviors. So, to do so, first, we estimated a regularized partial correlation network. Then the clusters formed among the variables were examined using exploratory graph analysis. And finally, Bayesian-directed acyclic graphs were used to further analyze the potential causal relationships to investigate the direction of the effect between the identified variables and school refusal. And by combining these approaches, a more comprehensive perspective can be achieved in understanding school refusal behavior of the students. In line with this purpose, we structured the research questions as The first one is, how are the relationships between school refusal and related factors shaped within the network? Which nodes are more central in the network? What are the interrelated clusters in the network? And lastly, how are the causal relationships between the variables shaped? Well, the participants of our study consist of a total of 601 high school students. As you can see, these include 374 girls and 227 boys, and their age is ranged between below 14 and above 18. And we wanted to include students from all grades and different school types so that we can generalize our results in a more comprehensive or in a more appropriate way. Well, first, I would like to talk about the measures in the method section. And here you can see the measures we employed during our study. The first one is mindful attention awareness scale, and it is used to determine how attentive or inattentive individuals are while performing their tasks. It has also been used in our study to measure students' mindfulness. And the second one is what's happening in the school questionnaire. And it was developed to evaluate high school students' perceptions of how welcome and connected they feel. And it was also used in our study to assess school climate. And the fourth and the third one is Child and Adolescent Social Adaptive Functioning Scale. It was developed to examine social and adaptive functioning in children and adolescents. And it was also used in our study to assess the social adaptive functions of students. And the next one is Perceived Autonomy in Life Domain Scale. And it was developed to measure students' perception of autonomy in the academic domain. And it was used in our study for the same purpose, And the Child and Adolescent Perfectionism Scale was developed to measure individuals' self-oriented and socially prescribed perfectionism, and it was used in our study to measure students' perfectionism. And the next one is the School Refusal Assessment Scale, revised version. The scale was developed to assess school refusal behavior in children and adolescents, and it was also used in our study for the same purpose. Well, secondly, I would like to talk about data analysis and network estimation in the first place within data analysis. To estimate the relationships between symptoms, graphical Gaussian models were constructed using the QGraph software. The graphical Gaussian models calculates regularized partial correlation networks between nodes, regulating the number of false edges due to relationships with other nodes using the lasso algorithm, and which limits the number of small and insignificant relationships between nodes to zero. Thus, it ensures the formation of a network with only strong edges. The lasso regularization was applied using the extended Bayesian information criterion model selection. The QGraph software was used for this procedure. The procedure generates 100 nodes with varying degrees of sparsity based on the given hyperparameter value, and the model with the lowest ABIC value is presented as the final model. To ensure the correctness of the edges in the network, the hyperparameter was set to 0.05 as suggested in previous simulation studies. In the generated graph, each node represents a symptom and each edge represents a partial regularized correlations between two symptom nodes. And to examine the centrality of the nodes in the network, the expected influence centrality measures was considered. This value provides the sum of the absolute total of positive and negative edge weights associated with a particular node, and the higher expected influence value for a node indicates that it is more central and important in the network. For the analysis of centrality indices, the centrality plot and network tools functions in the R software QGraph was used. And the robustness of the network structure was evaluated using the bootnet function in the R software. Firstly, the correlation stability coefficient (CSC) was examined using the case-dropping bootstrapping procedure to assess the network stability, and it is generally recommended that the calculated CSC value should not be below 0.25 and it should be preferably above 0.5. And secondly, the accuracy of the network was evaluated using a non-parametric bootstrapping method. For this purpose, the data were resampled 1,000 times to calculate 95% confidence intervals, and the distribution of edge weights was determined. And subsequently, bootstrap difference tests were used to assess differences in edge weights and node strength. The predictability of the networks, indicating how well a single node predicts neighboring nodes, was calculated using the MGM package software. Now let me talk about directed acyclic graph analysis, and it is a Bayesian network method where edges are directed in a non-circular manner, modeling potential causal relationships between nodes. It provides information about both the strength of connections between nodes and the potential causal pathways. The combined analysis of undirected and directed networks enables the network structure to be interpreted reliably. And in our study, potential causal relationships between variables leading to school refusal were computed by constructing a DAG. The DAG was created using the score-based hill climbing algorithm through the bean-learn package software. This procedure calculates different edge combinations between variables by adding, removing, or reversing their directions, and it finds the best fitting model based on the goodnesses of fit criteria. In our study, we bootstrapped 10,000 network samples for networks at admission and discharge to determine the stability of parameters. The operation parameters were set to 5 random restarts and 10 perturbations. A two-step process was followed to find the final network in subsequent analysis. Firstly, the frequency of the edge occurrence was determined in 1,000 bootstrapped network structures. Then, Skutari and Nagarajan's statistically directed process was followed to identify networks with high sensitivity and specificity. Secondly, the direction of edges in each of the 1,000 bootstrapped networks was calculated. In this step, an empirical threshold was estimated based on the average of bootstrapped models to determine which edges were statistically significant. Edges surpassing the cutoff threshold of the bootstrapped models were retained in the final model. Here in Table 2, you can see the descriptive statistics and correlation values for the research variables. I'm just going to give you some time to take a look at the table. Well, here in the figure 1, the symptom network structure among high school students for school refusal, perceived autonomy in life domains, perfectionism, social and adaptive function, school climate, and mindful awareness is illustrated. And here you can see the network structure and centrality index, the figure 1 represented. The edges between the nodes in the network structure represent regularized partial correlations among variables. Green edges represent positive, while red edges represent negative relationships. And the half circles around the nodes indicate predictability, of course. Well, in the first figure, we can see that the strongest relationship between the nodes are positive between seeking attention from significant others and family relationships, and it is negative between mindful attention awareness scale, and family relationships, and it is positive between peer connectedness and peer relationships. And when the centrality measures are examined, it is seen that the school connectedness is the most influential node in the network, and it can be seen that the following the school engagement dimension, peer relationships, seeking attention from significant others, self-oriented perfectionism, and seeking tangible reinforcements outside of school dimensions are included in the network as other important factors. And the mindful attention awareness scale node is the least effective factor in the network, we can say. We conducted a non-parametric bootstrapped difference and edge weight stability tests to assess the stability and accuracy of each edge. And on the figure 1, you can see on the left, it's about edge weight stability, and the figure 2 on the right side is the bootstrapped difference test, and between non-zero edge weights in the estimated network. The estimated network, the CSC stability, as you can see on figure 4 on the left, yielded an expected influence of 0.75, indicating a highly stable network. Bootstrapped confidence intervals were plotted to examine the stability of centrality measures and the accuracy of edge weights using the non-parametric bootstrapping function of the bootnet software, as you can see on the figure 3 on the right side. And the predictability index indicated that on average, approximately 40% of the variance of each node could potentially be explained by the neighboring nodes. And to better understand the structure between variables, exploratory graph analysis in the EGANet software was used to determine the optimal clustering of the variables. And this approach uses the walk-trap algorithm to find clusters of nodes that combine variables in the network into larger clusters. The visualization of the network structure obtained as a result of exploratory graph analysis, and it is presented in figure 2. And here you can see the clusters in the network identified through exploratory graph analysis, and positive associations are displayed in green and negative ones are displayed in red. Following the exploratory graph analysis, it has become evident that the network formed 4 primary clusters. The first cluster encompassed all subdimensions of mindful attention awareness scale, well-being in the school context, perception of autonomy in the academic domain, perception of autonomy in the interpersonal relations domain, pre-relationships, and family relationships. And the second cluster comprised school performance, home duties, self-oriented perfectionism, and socially prescribed perfectionism. And in the third cluster, perception of autonomy in life in general and perception of autonomy in the leisure domain emerged. Finally, all dimensions of the school refusal assessment scale formed in the fourth cluster. The connection between the fourth community and the second and the third communities is mediated through the second community. And when we examine the relationships between communities, we can see strong positive relationships between, as you can see here, I'm not gonna read all the letters, between these, and these constitute the fourth and the first, these constitute the fourth and the first communities, and we can also see strong negative relationships between these ones here. And the nodes with 3 and CASAFS1 as well as the others exhibit some strong positive relationships among the nodes constituting the first and the second communities. On the other hand, among the nodes constituting the first and the third communities, we can see strong positive relationships also between those ones. And the four-dimensional structure was found to be accurate. And when the item stability values are analyzed, we can see that the nodes are copied between 42% and 100%, and in certain dimensions, of course. It has been also seen that all the elements constituting the community are interrelated with each other. The directed acyclic graph, which resulted from the average of 1,000 bootstrapped networks, calculated using the method of Scutari and Nagarajan, is presented in figure 3, as you can see here. The DAG graph illustrates the importance of each edge in the network system, which indicates which edges are likely to be connected to different nodes. The thickness of the edges represents the change in Bayesian information criterion when that edge is removed from the model. Thus, we can say that thicker edges are more important for model fit. And we can see on figure 3 that the school engagement is the most prominent and important network node, and the school engagement node occupies the top position in the network and directly influences other variables. The variables most strongly influenced by the school engagement, teacher support, school engagement, and family relationships nodes, while the school refusal variable, avoidance of school-related negative situation, is directly influenced by the school refusal node, while the school engagement node directly influences avoidance of school-related negative situation node. It indirectly affects other dimensions through this path. In addition, the width 3 node, I will say, directly influences all dimensions of the network, with width 1, width 2, and KSF's 3 nodes being the most strongly influenced. As a result, I can say that the analysis indicates that the school engagement is the strongest variable in the network, and when school engagement is activated, it also activates the rest of the network. Well, to sum up, in our study, in which we wanted to examine the connections between perceived autonomy in life domains, mindful awareness, perfectionism, school climate, social and adaptive functions, and school refusal in high school students, we used network analysis to understand the school refusal behaviors of the students in high school. And we come to the conclusion that the strongest variable in school refusal behaviors is the school engagement, which emerged as the most influential variable in the networks, and it has a really central role in influencing the other factors in the network, since activating the school engagement triggers the activation of the entire network. And here is our references. I'm just gonna give some 10 seconds or so, and the rest is here. And here is also some others. And I'd like to thank you for your attention and for your patience. And it's a really great honor to be here with you today. So I hope you enjoyed our presentation, and good luck with the others. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Today I present the contribution titled The School Climate and Attendance Problem, the mediating role of students' academic and interpersonal competence. School attendance is essential for student educational and personal development. However, persistent absenteeism or irregular attendance can significantly harm their academic achievement and overall well-being, leading to school attendance problems. According to Avic and colleagues, school attendance problems can be categorized into four types: somatic reason, subjective health reason, transient reason, and refusal reason. Somatic reasons include physical health conditions such as chronic illness that prevent students from attending school. Subjective health reason involves students feeling and experience of health problems, including mental and emotional symptoms that may not be medically diagnosed but still affect school attendance. Truancy reasons are typically an excused absence without clear communication with the school, often due to a lack of interest in school, peer pressure, or involvement in activity outside of school. Refusal reason involve a student unwilling to attend school because of emotional distress, anxiety disorder, or traumatic school-related experience. Unlike truancy, refusal reasons are usually communicated by the student or their parents. To address school absenteeism, it is important to consider individual, family, school, and social factors. Among school factors, a positive school climate is particularly important. A positive school climate includes social bonds with teachers and peers, a sense of belonging, respect for diversity, clear rules, and support system that encourage students to seek help. Indeed, a positive school climate promotes student engagement in school life, which reduces the likelihood of absence. Among individual factors, two key aspects of student self-perception, academic and interpersonal competence also play a significant role in school attendance. Academic competence refers to how students view their own academic abilities. Students who believe in their academic skills are more motivated to attend school and participate in class. Those who doubt about their skills may feel anxious and less motivated, leading to absence. Interpersonal competence refers to how well students think that they can interact with others, including communication and relationship building skills. Students who feel confident in their social skills tend to have better relationship with peers and teachers, which makes school more enjoyable and encourage regular attendance. Those who struggle with social interaction may avoid school to escape social challenges, leading to more absence. However, today, the literature lacks a comprehensive model that explains the relationship between students' perceived academic and interpersonal competence, school climate, and school attendance problems. Our study aims to explore how students' perception of their academic and interpersonal competence mediate the relationship between a positive school climate and school attendance problems. We believe that aspects of a positive school climate, such as teacher support, peer connectedness, school connectedness, affirming diversity, rule clarity, and reporting and seeking help, directly affect students' self-perception of competence. Thus, self-perception in turn influences the different reasons for school attendance problems. The participants in this study includes 539 Italian high school students with an average age of 16.05 years. The students report an average of 23.11 absence during the school years. School achievement was assessed based on the average grade obtained across all subjects during the current school years, with the average grades in our sample behind 7.40. A demographic questionnaire was used to collect basic demographic information. The assessing reason for school non-attendance, ARSA, is a self-administered 70-point questionnaire designed to assess the reason for students' school non-attendance. The What's Happening in the School with questionnaire is a self-administered 49 questionnaire designed to assess school climate based on students' perception of the feeling welcome and connected at school. Two subscales of The perception of competence in life domains were used to measure the perception of interpersonal competence, academic competence. The study adhered to the principle of the Declaration of Helsinki, and ethical approval was obtained. Written, informed consent was secured from all participants prior to their inclusion in the study. Only those who returned signed consent were allowed to participate. The questionnaire were administered in a single session, lasting between 15 and 20 minutes. To conduct structural equational modeling, some of the latent variables RStudio with the relevant packages was employed. Our results underline that the estimation of our model yield a good fit. The results indicate several significant relationships. Student perception of academic competence were negatively predicted by peer connectedness and positively predicted by school connectedness. Student perception of interpersonal relationship competence were positively predicted by peer connectedness and school connectedness, and negatively predicted by affirming diversity. Subjective altruism were negatively predicted by students' perception of academic competence. Transferism were negatively predicted by student perception of academic competence and positively predicted by student perception of interpersonal competence. School refusionism were negatively predicted by student perception of academic competence, teacher support, and positive predicted by affirming diversity. Now showed in this table, in the section indirect effect, we can say that mediation analysis underlined that both student perception of interpersonal and academic competence played a mediating role between school climate and school attendance problem. Specifically, student perception of interpersonal competence mediates the relationship between peer connectedness and transferism, and between affirming diversity and transferism, while student perception of academic competence mediates the relationship between school connectedness and subjective altruism, transferism, and refusalism. This study confirmed the proposed model by showing how student perception of their interpersonal and academic competence mediates the relationship between school climates and various reasons for absenteeism. It highlights the critical roles of peer connectedness, school connectedness, and affirming diversity in promoting task competence. Peer connectedness improves student interpersonal competence, but it can also lead to more truancy. This occurs strong peer relationship can sometimes encourage students to skip class and engage in fun activity outside academic during school hours. These finds, aligned with past research, highlight the importance of peer relationship in shaping student behaviors and competence. Additionally, feeling a sense of belonging and being involved in school positively promotes students' belief in their academic abilities. This confidence helps reduce absence due to subjective refusal and transferism, showing the importance of a supportive school environment in promoting academic competence and thus regular attendance. This study also finds that promoting cultural diversity enhances students' social skills, which in turn reduce truancy. Interacting with diverse peers can improve empathy, communication, and relationship, making students more engaged and interested in school. However, the results show no significant link between school climates and absence due to somatic reasons. These absences are often due to physical health issues, which are beyond the school's control. This indicates that while a positive school climate can reduce many types of absence, it cannot address those caused by medical condition. Therefore, enacting aspects of school climate such as peer-connected, school-connected, and affirming diversity can improve students' social and academic competence, thereby reducing absenteeism to the reason like truancy, refusal, and subjective health issue.